A Lubbock man has avoided jail time for his role in a crash that killed a mother and son more than 3 years ago.
KCBD News Channel 11's Dylan Villa joins us now with details on the case involving Jordan Merchant and how the victim's family describes the loss. Dylan?
Yeah, Karen and Abner, 35-year-old Jordan Merchant was originally charged with 2 counts of manslaughter and 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Today, as part of a plea deal with the district attorney, Merchant pleaded guilty to 2 lesser charges of criminally negligent homicide. It all stems from this crash on August 31st of 2022 at 114th in Indiana. Merchant crashed his pickup into 44-year-old Joni Smith at the intersection as she was turning west onto 114th. Smith, along with 9-year-old Conrad Tomlinson, died in the crash, while her other 2 children suffered serious injuries. Court records showed dash cam footage obtained from the vehicle behind Smith that day showed Smith enter the intersection legally, while Merchant entered the intersection approximately a quarter to half a second after the light for westbound traffic went green, which indicates he entered the intersection on a red light. Now, after Judge Douglas Freitag accepted Merchant's plea, a few family members addressed the court and Merchant directly. They all described the family dynamic as broken in some way following the deaths of Joni and Conrad. Conrad's father, Joseph, says Conrad was the sweetest child who was stolen from the world and is mad he'll never get to see his little boy grow up, get married, and have a family. In her own statement, Joni's mother says she never thought in her wildest dreams she would have ever had to write her daughter and grandson's obituaries and can't wrap her head around the situation years later. Merchant's plea deal includes 5 years of deferred adjudication. This means if he follows the law, a formal conviction could come off of his record entirely. We requested a comment from the district attorney's office in this case, but those requests were denied. Karen and Abner.